So much for joining us on this day.
Thank you.
Is there any unfinished business in the district attorney's office that you wish you could see to the end? Maybe it's bail reform.
Yeah, it's probably bail reform. It's probably some discovery changes. It's probably raise the age. And again, like I've said before, I'm all for these things conceptually. The devil's in the details on these laws, and I obviously think that they went a little too far with these laws, and so I think that tweaks need to be made. Some have already been made on bail reform, but others need to go forward.
Why are you leaving public service and going into the private sector? I think a lot of people are asking that because they become so accustomed to you. So why leave? Well,
I've had 28 years in the Navy, and I've had 22 years now here locally in the town of Tonawanda, now in Erie County. So if we're looking at concurrent time, that's 50 years of public service, and obviously that's a long time. And I feel that at this stage of my life, I want to start a new chapter. I want to do something different. I'm not leaving the community. I will obviously entertain being on various boards or various organizations that help the community going forward. But it's just a time in my life, Claudine, where I want to do something different, and I want to go back in the private sector to work at this law firm, basically.
I want to go back to bail reform.
Sure.
How difficult was that for you? Because even from the general public, no matter where you were politically, people just were not happy with what we saw with bail reform. How difficult was that for you? And is it something that you can still fight even though you're not going to be the top prosecutor?
Sure. I obviously know a lot of people in government. I know where the tweaks need to be made. It's difficult in the sense that, anytime someone commits a crime, when they're out on bail on a previous crime, they're criticizing me and looking at me by saying, hey, why is this person out and able to commit another crime? And I have to explain to people that, well, the first offense that they did was not bail eligible, and they're out not because of anything I did or didn't do, but because of the system. And so that's very difficult to explain a lot of times, especially if someone gets hurt, especially if someone has a tragic event happen to them and they're out on bail on a previous offense. So yeah, it's very difficult. But hey, I try to explain the law. I try to explain what the rules are, and I hope people understand that a lot of times it's not my fault.
You had some big cases. Obviously, the Tops mass shooting was one. How did that case, Tops, how did that test you as a prosecutor?
Oh, wow. It tested me on a number of fronts. First of all, it tested me in the sense that, as I said earlier today, unfortunately, we have a number of homicides here in the city of Buffalo, as do all big cities. But those, Claudine, are all one individual. You have one body, okay? Here you had 10. You had 10 individuals who were murdered, along with 3 others who were shot and injured. So the pure volume and the crime scene itself was just so overwhelming. So it tested us in that regard. And then it tested us from a community standpoint.
Right.
While the families of these 10 victims were obviously personally and directly impacted, so was you and I.
Yeah.
So was everyone in this community. Mm-hmm. We were impacted as well. And so dealing with that clearly tested me.
I think about some cases that you may be proud of, but then there are some cases that got national attention besides Tops. I go back to the Valentino Dixon case.
Yes.
A man who spent so many years behind bars for a murder that your office determined that he did not commit that murder.
Correct. Yes. There's a movement, obviously, that has percolated in the past 10 to 15 years where there's been a focus on innocence and a focus on people who are in prison who did not commit a crime. And obviously, that is a cause that I believe in and a cause that I support. Now, with that said, I don't think that everyone in prison obviously is innocent, okay? I think the majority of them are guilty. But there are occasions where people serve time and are in prison who did not do it. And it's incumbent upon prosecutors to weed them out and to investigate those and to make sure that justice, a reverse justice, is done to get them out of prison.
I think that is something that we saw happen with your office. Let the public know who's going to be succeeding you.
Yes, obviously, in a vacancy for the district attorney, by operation of law, the deputy district attorney, Mike Kane, becomes the acting DA, and he will be the acting DA either until the governor appoints someone, or if the governor chooses not to appoint someone, he will be the acting DA for the rest of the year until he runs for election, obviously, in November.
Final question, you're going to be working for Lippis Mathias.
Yes.
What's going to be your role there?
Well, Lippis Mathias is, like you said, a national law firm that has offices all over the country. They have a huge government investigation practice where I will be part of working with the former Attorney General of New York State, Dennis Vacco, the former U.S. Attorney of Western District of New York, with a whole crew of other partners and associates. We're also going to look into setting up a municipal law bureau to represent municipalities here in Erie County and in New York State. So I'm excited. This is, a big law firm here in Buffalo that has a national footprint where hopefully my national footprint as being the president of the National DA Association and now the president of the State DA Association will fit in and offer services to everyone here in the state and the country.
Erie County District Attorney until March 31st. John Flynn, thank you so much for joining us in studio. We wish you all the best in your future with the private sector.
Thank you.